彼は被害者と同じ高校の同級生だそうです。監視カメラの映像と佇まいからして、彼が呪詛師である可能性は低いと考えていました。ただ、被害者と関係があるとなれば話は別です。
Hearthstone, an amazing card game made by a horrible company. A game that doubles as a torture device because after spending an hour building a deck, you get curb stomped because the rank reset just happened and you're fighting diamond ranks in the bottom floor of bronze. Whoever came up with the idea for that? Fuck you. But what is Hearthstone? Well, just imagine a combination of Funko Pops and NFTs, except they actually have financial value, and that's about 25% of it. The other 75% is gambling. Just fucking gambling.
Let's go gambling! Aw, dang it. Aw, dang it. Aw, dang it.
To explain the basics of the game, each card has 3 main attributes: health, attack, and mana cost. To play a card, you need to have enough mana available to use it, and whenever you play a card, that much mana is consumed until your next turn. Health is how much damage each card can take before dying, and attack is how much damage they can deal per attack. And each of these values can be affected in vastly different ways depending on other card effects. So if you play your cards right, your opponent is gonna start shitting themselves.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
Pretty simple system, right? No, wrong. Fuck you. This is Hearthstone, bitch. We won in this motherfucker. Take your sensitive ass back to Risk of Rain 2. Hearthstone is a game with a constantly evolving meta, which is great until half your deck disappears on a whim and you're left with every single deck you own missing cards out of nowhere. Why is everything missing cards? Look, I've lost 9 cards from my priest deck. And if you want to win, well, you can always try using skill, or you could instead try gambling. There are 2 ways you can obtain new cards, either by buying packs in the shop, or by crafting specific cards directly by using dust from other dismantled cards. The main difference is that with crafting, you have to sacrifice other cards to get more dust, whereas the shop allows you just to get a random set of cards for coins that you already earn in the game, or by buying Blizzard's bullshit in-game currency.
Bitches be shopping.
And of course, the best part about this game isn't the cards, it's not the game modes, it's not even the insane shit you can pull off. No, the best part of this entire game is the fact that you can interact with the entire board at any given moment, which is especially useful when you play against people like this, who make me question if I'm playing against someone who recently received a lobotomy, because of the fact that they wait so incredibly long to take their fucking turn! Oh yeah, this game is on mobile as well. In the most basic mode of Hearthstone, you build a deck based around any of 11 playable classes, each containing their own cards specific to their classes as well as neutral cards shared between all classes. Some decks are built around playing every card effectively throughout the game, whilst others are more focused around specific win conditions. Win condition derives from the ancient English words of win and condition. I don't know why I have to explain this to you, you should honestly be able to figure this out. Your mother and I are really worried about how you've been performing at school lately. Have you actually been studying, or are you always on that fucking phone watching TikTok? Yeah, I bet you weren't expecting to relive a very broad childhood trauma in a random Hearthstone review made by an insane man with nothing better to do, but sometimes you don't always get what we want, do we? Anyway, here's a brief overview of all the classes you can play in Hearthstone. Mage usually focuses on single target and area of effect spells to control the flow of battle. Rogue focuses on high single target damage and manipulating the board for their own benefit, even outright copying other cards. Warlocks focus on summoning powerful demons and gaining buffs, even at the risk of their own life. Shaman summons totems to buff other minions and has cards that overload their mana, causing them to limit themselves whilst gaining a boost for it. Priest can go between being a healer and debuffing enemies, or using a more attack-oriented playstyle to manipulate and destroy their enemies. Hunter focuses on setting up traps with their secret cards whilst being aggressive on the board with their beasts. Paladin revolves around summoning and buffing various minions whilst weakening enemies in the process. Death Knight is able to draw from 3 different rune types to vastly vary their playstyle for each deck they make. Demon Hunter is a hyper-aggressive class that focuses on playing cards from a specific part of your hand and enhancing your hero to attack on specific turns. Warrior goes between slamming enemies with massive damage and being able to withstand even more damage than they can put out. Now, if you want to have fun, play any of these classes, and if you want to win, play Druid. Playing Druid is like doing something extremely questionable, like murdering an entire village. Sure, at the time you thought it was right, but then you cause a scene outside the local KFC and your twink boyfriend almost kills you. Look man, I'm gonna be honest, I had a very specific idea for the theme of this video, and I'm gonna have to fucking force some of these jokes in here to make that work, okay? Now, I personally don't play Druid because I have these things called morals, but you can, just know we're all judging you. harshly. And even though I've just gone over these classes in a way that makes them seem like they only play in specific ways, the way Hearthstone has been set up over the past 10 years of it being supported means that a lot of these classes are genuinely pretty flexible and allow for a variety of different playstyles within their boundaries. For example, whilst Priest usually revolves around buffing and healing, a friend of mine has created a deck simply called Birds Aren't Real, where the entire point of the deck is to repeatedly fill your opponent's deck with a shit ton of useless cards. And without having to put that much thought into actually playing it during a match, it will essentially cripple any deck fighting it, because after spending hours of your life creating a deck that works in a very specific way, only to draw 16 seagulls in a row tends to drive you fucking insane enough to quit out of the match. Which means that this deck's win condition is essentially piss off my opponent. I have never won against this deck, and I swear to God, if I ever have to fight it again, I'm gonna make the Shibuya incident look like a fucking slice of life. The point of mentioning this deck is to show that even though the classes themselves have a general sense of what they do well, they're still flexible enough to do some crazy shit. Just like how one of my decks says something incredibly funny that I can do that I have named the Mister Mukla handler. The way the Mister Mukla handlock works is that you essentially need your opponent to have an empty hand, no minions, and one Mister Mukla card ready to play, which leads to one of the funniest setups possible, as you essentially force your opponent to stop playing the game. Because since Mister Mukla fills your opponent's hands with banana cards, and you can only hold a maximum of 10 cards at a time, every card you try to draw whilst your hand is full is immediately burned and cannot be used for the rest of the match. So it allows you to propose the question, what if you wanted to play the game, but the large monkey said no? And just to be clear, there is exactly 3 possible ways to break out of this. Somehow summon a minion, be Death Knight or Paladin and use your hero power, or sign your own death warrant by buffing the shit out of any of your opponent's minions. Because you could always just play a single banana, but what's gonna happen when you only draw a spell and still have no minions? Meanwhile, there is a very large, very horny gorilla on the other side of the board, and you're looking mighty breedable.
領域展開無料空所
This is just one example of all the crazy amount of shit you can pull off with a few cards and specific decks, even before you get to decks that can outright curb stomp others. I've been yapping about decks for the majority of this video so far, so instead I'm gonna start yapping about what makes those decks so powerful. Yowie. No, wait, what the fuck? I meant the cards. Who the fuck wrote this script? Each card has different abilities, rarity, and effects that can vastly affect the entire game in any number of ways. Some of these abilities are Taunt, which can make it so enemies can only attack that minion, or Stealth, which makes minions unable to be targeted until they attack. And these are only just 2 of the many different card abilities in this game that all work together in different ways. So you can really just fuck with your opponent repeatedly depending on what you build your deck around, as well as the fact that there are legendary cards which are so powerful that they can alter the course of the entire game just by being played, sometimes even being the end goal of a win condition of a deck. While some legendaries are powerful, there are others that are literally game-changing. Take Lone Ranger Reno for example. If you have no duplicates in your deck, you wipe your enemy's board completely and make it so that they can only place 1 minion there on their next turn. So believe me when I say you don't want to be a filthy monkey who can't even use Reno. That sounded horribly racist, and I'm so sorry about that. I just have no idea how else to make that reference. And using these core essentials of gameplay, over the years, Blizzard has added more game modes and different ways to play. Like the Arena, a game mode where you build a deck before entering, and the more wins you get, the better prizes once you finish, which was added at the launch of the game back in 2014, but was later used as a blueprint to create my absolute favorite game mode known as Duels. Duels was absolutely loved by the community and one of the single best modes in this entire game that was unfortunately removed from the game entirely because the small indie company doesn't have the time and resources to support it anymore. I don't know, they need more time to steal breast milk from the company fridge or something. Fuck you Blizzard, bring it back, I swear to fucking God! Sorry about that, I'm just still very fucking pissed off about that one. Here's a quick step-by-step guide on how to play Duels. Step 1, build a deck. Step 2, find an opponent. Step 3, match against Bomb Warrior. Step 4, immediately fucking lose. The way Duels works is very simple. Every time you start a run, you're given the option to pick from 6 different randomly selected heroes, all with unique variations compared to their original classes. As each hero you pick from usually has 3 different hero powers to choose from, as well as 6 different treasures unique to both them and this game mode, which wildly affect how each of them is played and allowing you variety between each run and Duels, which is what made the game mode so fucking fun, and is still a massive question as to why the fuck you would make a fully functioning game mode that you didn't even bother to update for almost a year and remove it instead of leaving it in at the state it was at. I swear to God, I'm going to be tweaking about this decision for the rest of my fucking life. Now, as much as I love Duels, the biggest problem it had was the same problem that plagues regular Hearthstone: the meta. And because of this problem, you can either play a very fun and well thought out deck and then within 4 matches run into someone running the same 3 fucking decks that just curb stomp everything else, or you could be one of those people playing one of those said 3 decks, which ultimately brings everyone who plays this mode to a very important question.
君は五条悟だから最強なのか、最強だから五条悟なのか。
Duels also allowed you to attain rewards from it as well. When opening up Duels, you can either play the casual mode that doesn't cost you anything other than your time and most importantly, your sanity, or you can instead pay coins you earn from other modes to play a paid version where you earn card packs and other rewards. The way the reward system works is that every win you get will earn you more rewards whenever you finish a run, which ends after 3 total losses or 12 victories. So even with everything I've said already, there's still more to this mode. In between each round, you're given a choice to add more cards to your deck and more importantly, new treasures, which affect your gameplay in vastly different ways, like making your minions gain health whenever another one dies, all the way up to game-changing cards that allow you to look your opponent dead in the eyes and say, "Hello, my good sir, have you considered maybe perhaps sucking my cock?" right before summoning 5 legendaries and proceeding to nuke the shit out of them. This game mode was genuinely so fucking good that it massively helped me get back into Hearthstone after not playing it since 2016, and even after it was removed, it continues to be so fucking good that I'm choosing to do free PR for a game mode that doesn't fucking exist anymore because I am an insane man. Now shut the fuck up about it, or I'm gonna show you my epic curse technique I came up with called 9mm. I believe it's what Toad used in the hidden inventory arc, and trust me, it's very fucking effective. And even though I've mentioned that fighting meta decks in this mode is an uphill battle, there is no bigger equalizer than the burden of human stupidity. I've witnessed some absolute blunders that are so horrifically bad that upon seeing them, I proceeded to lock the fuck in after spending 90% of the game losing my mind and simply proclaim, nah, I'd win, and allowing me to witness the difference between the biggest misplay in history versus the biggest misplay of today. Duels is an exceptionally good game mode that is unfortunately no longer with us, but thankfully we at least still have Mercenaries, a game mode that has not been updated in several years and has been outright abandoned by the developers, which definitely wasn't removed for the same reason as Duels, purely because you can spend real-world money on packs for that mode. No, surely not. There is no Duels in Hearthstone. Please instead divert your attention over to our very cool Battle Pass. Oh yeah, and speaking of Battle Passes, that reminds me of the other main game mode available on Hearthstone, Battlegrounds. The reason I use Battle Passes as a segue there is because Hearthstone has a Battle Pass for their main game mode, which allows you to get gold, card packs, and other various rewards. But it also has a second Battle Pass for a separate game mode introduced 5 years after its launch, purely because so many fucking people play this mode. There's a Battle Pass dedicated to a single fucking mode in this game, and they wonder why everyone was so fucking pissed about it. Fucking hell. Hey guys, so we removed Duels from the game, but don't worry, the shop works perfectly fine. Fuck you, Blizzard. Piece of shit company. Treat your workers better, fuckheads. So how does Battlegrounds work, I hear you ask? Well, if you give me a minute, I'll tell you. God, you're so impatient. Fuck me, I'm getting to it, alright? Jesus Christ. The way Battlegrounds works is that it takes the base mechanics of Hearthstone and reworks them into an auto-battler with its own set of minions and cards specific to Battlegrounds itself, allowing for a unique game mode compared to the rest of the game. Battlegrounds is different to other modes in Hearthstone, as even though you still fight each opponent one-on-one, there are 8 people, including yourself, in the match all at once, which means that while you can easily win one round, the next you might not. During each round, you have a buying phase and a combat phase. During the buying phase, you use coins to buy minions or spells from the Tavern to build up your board, and as the game progresses, you can slowly build up your Tavern level to be offered more powerful options. The catch is that you have to spend the same coins you spend on acquiring minions to upgrade the Tavern. So a large part of this game mode is figuring out your strategy for the match, not only for how you use your minions, but also knowing where to spend your money at the right time. Each combat phase follows the idea that minions on the board attack in order from left to right, and if that's all they did, this mode would suck complete ass. But thankfully, each minion can be upgraded in various ways that allow you to do insane shit like this.
I'm over here stroking my dick. I got lotion on my dick right now. I'm just stroking my shit.
Which is why it becomes so important to work around utilizing both phases together to build a stronger board. At the start of each Battlegrounds game, you're given the option to pick between heroes to use for that game that provide their own hero powers that are incredibly strong if you use them correctly, as well as the fact there is a list of minion types shown at the top of the page. This is important to look at because this is telling you what minions are going to be available to use for that game, and each minion type focuses on various ways to buff themselves and help you win the game. Both of these are incredibly important to focus on because some heroes work incredibly well with specific minion types and can give you some insane combinations. For example, dragons love battlecry cards and giving out buffs at the start of combat. Quillboar's main mechanic is essentially buffing themselves with performance enhancing crystals, and beasts have so many death rattle cards you'd think they had a masochism fetish. The main catch with everything in this game mode is that while you can buy any minion you see in the tavern, so can everyone else. So if you're trying to focus on only buying the dragon minions in the tavern but can't seem to find the specific one you're looking for, chances are someone else has already bought it and there's none left for you. Now you're probably thinking, but why is it important to have multiple minions? The reason why it's so important is that once you obtain 3 of the same minion, it becomes a golden card, which not only makes them stronger, but also gives you a free random minion from the tier above your current tavern level. So at certain points in the game, it becomes a race against the clock to frantically try and buy all the cards that you need from the tavern before the rest of these greedy fucks try to take the ones that you want. I genuinely cannot overstate how powerful golden cards are. You essentially just get a free minion, and it makes a minion that you have that could already be quite strong even stronger, and you do that by
それぞれの無限を衝突させることで生成される仮想の質量を押し出す挙式紫
Battlegrounds is an absolutely insane game mode added into an already insane game, and is literally so popular they added a battle pass specific to just that one game mode, and thinking about the fact that that exists is fucking mental. We really do live in a society. This game mode is so incredibly good, yet also makes me want to tear my fucking eyes out, and I feel that's honestly applicable to anything else in this game overall, now that I mention it. Hearthstone is an incredibly well made, but also incredibly insane game that allows you to torture yourself purely just to feel something. And even though this is a game made by Blizzard, I still recommend Hearthstone. Even after 10 years, this game is still both incredibly solid and incredibly fun, and absolutely worth playing, especially considering the fact that it's free, as long as you don't mind paying with your sanity instead of your credit card. With multiple years of content, expansions, and game modes to choose from, Hearthstone is still an enjoyable experience and a great game worth playing. Final score, using a rogue deck to steal my friend's outro out of 10.